Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so we got a brand new chapter of Black Clover out this week, and this chapter actually has me really hyped because in the very beginning of the chapter, I think on like page 2 or 3, they actually answered the biggest question that we've had in all Black Clover history since the very beginning of the series, and that is, what is the Compass Elf's name? So we end up finding out that the Compass Elf's name is actually Gwen, and in the chapter it's actually spelled Guwain. And when I looked it up, it turns out that it's actually the old English spelling for Gwen when referring to a boy when you're naming like a baby boy. So I guess that means the elf inside of this magic knight, who we actually still don't know the name of her yet, is actually named Gwen, or actually was, an elfin boy, and he just got reincarnated as this female magic knight. Okay, joking aside, I actually did struggle a lot to figure out exactly what this elf's name was. I think ever since the chapter after she was introduced, I've been saying pretty much in every one of my reviews, what is her name, trying to figure it out. And we finally got an answer in this chapter, so I guess I can finally stop asking that question. Anyway, let's just jump right into what happened in the chapter. So it picks up where the last one left off, right after Noelle finally defeated Gwen. She thinks she has a moment of rest. The barrier effect that Gwen had up was, disappearing. Noelle thinks she has a moment of rest. She thinks she's going to be able to help out her brother and sister and slap some sense of solid so he actually can do something for once. And then, once the barrier disappears completely, she realizes she's surrounded by about, 6 or 7 elves who are there just ready to attack her and annihilate them. And she realizes right off the bat that she doesn't have enough magical energy to fight these people on one by herself. So she knows that they're kind of screwed. And just when one of the elves actually attack, I think they try to attack Solid and Nebra, that's when fucking literally out of nowhere, fucking Zora comes in with his trap magic and actually sends the attack right back at the elf, taking this one out of the fight. So I actually really love Zora in this chapter because he actually does something that's actually really cool and actually does fit with his character. The fact that he hates royals and the fact that he doesn't really like working with them. So in this chapter, he actually ends up doing exactly what Will Smith's character Deadshot did in Suicide Squad when they were at that scene where they're being overrun, and he basically got that guy El Diablo or whatever his name was to he pissed him off enough to get him to actually do something in the fight for once. That's actually what Zora actually comes in here and does. He actually comes in here. He starts yelling at Solid to try to get him to do something. It doesn't work because he's just, petrified of fear right now. So instead, he actually starts yelling at Nozel and starts berating him until Nozel actually gets up. Now, while Zora's actually yelling at Nozel to actually prove himself as a Royal Magic Knight captain and actually get up and help them out in the fight, because he pretty much realizes that if Nozel doesn't get up and help them out, they're kind of screwed. But anyway, while he's yelling at him, we actually get a flashback from Nozel where he's talking to his mom when she's still pregnant with Noelle before she actually died. And it's just basically her saying, telling him that since he inherited her element of magic, steel type magic, that he is responsible for protecting his siblings. And that memory is actually what drives him to get up, push himself past his limits, try to stabilize his body, despite the fact that he was stabbed through the chest and I believe the gut as well, basically stabbed throughout his entire body. The fact that he's most likely, has extreme maternal bleeding. He stabilizes himself enough to get back in the fight in order to protect his 2 siblings who are down, and his other sibling who's the only one really left fighting at this point. Oh, and yeah, speaking of his siblings, we actually end up getting Nebra taken care of in this chapter. Apparently when Zora actually went off, he ended up saving one of their attendants or one of their servants who actually has water magic and healing magic at the same time. So she's being healed by him in this chapter. It probably would help if Nozel was being healed a little bit too, but he's, he rather fight than actually get healed while the other 2 fight for him. Anyway, now that Nozel and Noelle are actually ready to fight again, we actually see the 3 of them, Noelle, Nozel, and Zora, team up to defeat all 6 of the elves that are there, and then literally all 6 elves get defeated in the chapter. Now, at first glance, it'll look like Zora's not actually doing anything, but what we end up finding out during the fight is that he actually laid out traps throughout the entire area. Which, by the way, I actually went back and checked, I think a few chapters ago, 2 or 3 chapters ago, when the 3 of them actually were put as a team and then Zora split off by himself. I thought maybe there was something in the chapter, maybe he noticed something and he became aware of something that the other 2 didn't. And that's the reason why he jumped off and actually, went to set up traps ahead of time just in case. But no, he didn't notice anything. It's just Zora being Zora. He works better when he's able to be sneaky and when he's able to be manipulative. So he needed to be in the shadows, set up these traps while these 2 of them were actually being out there on the front lines fighting for him. But you know what? It's actually a good thing that Zora was actually hiding in the shadows, setting up these traps all around him instead of helping out in the fight against Gwen. Because the traps are pretty much the reason why they end up winning this fight at the end of the chapter. Because both Noelle and Nozel are pretty much not fit to be fighting against 6 elves by themselves. Noel doesn't really have all that much magic power left after fighting against Gwen, and Nozel's pretty heavily damaged at this point. He's barely standing up and holding his own. But because of the traps that Zora actually placed around them, they're actually able to lead the elves into the traps, detonating the traps on two of the elves, taking them out. And then Nozel and Noel at the end of the chapter, when they're fighting against the last two elves, actually use Zora's trap magic against the elves by basically blasting their attacks that normally wouldn't have damaged the elves off of the trap magic, multiplying the damage output, and then attacking the elves that way. And it's actually pretty cool. The reason why they're actually able to see the traps that Zora placed out throughout the entire field when the elves can't is because of the fact that Zora, in the beginning of the fight, uses ass magic to actually reveal to them where the traps are. So they can see the traps. They can see literally every trap that Zora placed down, just like he can, but the elves can't. So they're pretty much they pretty much get the advantage, despite the fact that they power-wise have the disadvantage in the fight. Oh yeah, and it's worth mentioning that the last 3 or 4 pages of the chapter is actually 4 coma comedy sketches. Kind of remind me of the little outros that happen at the very end of each Black Clover episode, where they're in their chibi forms and it's more colorful and comedic. I don't know, it's kind of cool to see it. Each one of them were actually pretty funny in their own right. So if you didn't take the chance, take the chance to read them. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that, because I'm pretty sure that Boku no Hero Academia in their last week's chapter actually had the same thing, like a few pages of 4 coma comedy sketches. So I'm not sure if that's a new thing that Shonen Jump's doing, where each week a different manga gets a few pages extra to do these type of sketches or not. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. Maybe next week we'll actually get to see it in One Piece. If that happens, then I'm guaranteeing you it's a whole comedy sketch thing that's going throughout all the big Shonen Jump series. But that's pretty much all that happened in this week's chapter. Now, it's actually really cool to see the three of them actually working together as a team, especially when you think about the fact that Zora has a real hatred for royals. And it's one thing for him to work with Noelle because she is a member of the Black Bulls. She's a fellow member of the Black Bulls. She is kind of on close to friend status with him. So it's one thing for him to work with her. But the fact that he's actually willing to work with Nozel in this chapter and actually was trying to get Solid to actually do something by berating him, using basically reverse psychology to actually get him back in the fight, this actually shows kind of a little bit of character growth for Zora. The fact that he doesn't just outright hate royals in the chapter. In fact, he even brought an attendant, as someone who actually has healing magic, in order to heal the royals that he supposedly hates. So yeah, like I said, that actually shows a lot of character growth for him. But it's actually pretty much it for the chapter. I'm actually really interested to see what happens next week's chapter. I'm guessing we're not going to be following these three anymore now that the fight's pretty much done with them. So we're probably going to be going on to, maybe Yami's crew again, or maybe we'll check in with Asa again, or maybe we'll see who knows. But I'm just looking forward to see what happens next week. That's it for the chapter. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and catch you guys later. Peace. I'm going to go watch some fucking Daredevil Season 3.